He finished the first day at the Arnold Palmer Invitational at 4 under, just 4 strokes behind the leader. He even nailed a 71-foot putt. This from the guy who's only 11 months removed from spinal fusion surgery. Literally, he had back surgery 11 months ago. CeCe, how impressed were you with Tiger's performance yesterday?
Well, very impressed. Very impressed that he could follow up a top 5 finish in the Valspar tournament last week, this week at Bay Hill. Now, Bay Hill is a golf course that I would say is a little bit easier than the course that they played last week in Tampa. And the reason why, the driving areas are larger. The par 5s, typically you can score a lot on them. And this is one of the best tournaments as far as a field. 24 of the top 50 players are playing in this tournament. So to see Tiger at the top of this leaderboard and to continue the success that he showed, where, man, his iron play and his short game, that's the thing that impressed me the most. Following up what he did last week, shooting all those rounds under par, and then following up in the first round where Vegas made him the favorite for the tournament. He's won there 8 times, but to finish with a double bogey and still finish 4 under, it's a magnificent day for Tiger. Now it's about positioning, you know, because we see that he's able to play consistently, but also what we're seeing is, and hearing him, he's able to practice more. So now the rounds aren't taking its toll on his back, but he's able to follow up the rounds of golf with great practice. And as long as Tiger has the short game, that means chipping and putting, he's going to have the ability to be able to win a lot of tournaments.
So CeCe, you're telling me in all sports, this practice thing's pretty darn important, it would appear.
Well, I'm just going to say for the elite of the elite, practice is very, very important.
Except for Allen Iverson, but everyone else
it's a reoccurring theme.
Well, it is a reoccurring theme, and it's so, the reason I mention it is very early in this show, I talked about how football teams, with veteran football teams, that they shouldn't have their veterans do training camp or preseason because of the risk of injury. And CeCe got on me then about practice, and since then it's been a theme. And it's interesting to me you say for the elite of the elite, because I think to the layperson, to the average fan, and I consider myself more than, not better than the average fan, but like this is my job, so I study it as closely as you can.
Right.
I think most people who didn't play think, well, the elite of the elite are the ones that need practice the least. And what you're saying with Tiger, the ability to fine-tune, the ability to practice consistently, something he couldn't do pre-back, not just back surgery, but the back fusion, the lower back fusion, that's been a difference for him. Now, I also want people to know, because I know yesterday was a March Madness day, and the early part of this tournament was only available via online stream. You couldn't watch it live. So when you heard Jenna say, oh, so Tiger's 4 shots off the lead, so that's good, but you also got to keep in mind, Tiger's, when he went to the clubhouse at 4 under, the leader was at 5 under. Those really big scores of 8 under and 7 under only got posted later in the day. Conditions got a little better for scoring.
Great point.
And so his 4 under could have been what it was at the time, the second best score that had been posted in the tournament. I also want to mention this. And we showed it in the highlight package, the very first few clips, his approach on 6 and then putt on 7. Keep in mind, he did the back 9 first, so it was his 15th, or I'm sorry, his 16th and 17th holes of the day. That approach is perfect. That approach they just show there, it's such a hard shot because you have to clear the bunker. And then, yes, there's some luck to this. Whenever you hit a 70-footer, there is some good fortune to it. If he didn't make it, it was probably going to race 7 or 8 feet past the hole. But to do that on back-to-back holes, right after the double bogey.
Yes.
Right after, and keep in mind, the double bogey he thought was unfair. It was an odd ruling. The ball got tangled in a man-made, I guess all fences are man-made, but a fence that is not typically there.
A temporary fence.
Temporary, that's the word, thank you, as opposed to the God-made fences that are just lining golf courses.
Those.
A temporary fence, he thought maybe he could have gotten relief. They didn't give it to him. That cost him those 2 shots. And when that happened, you said to me, we're sitting there watching the tournaments, but you said to me, man, those big numbers are tough to overcome. To then answer that and respond with the next 3 holes he did was brilliant by him.
Let's take this back even further. We mentioned he's 11 months removed from having back surgery. He's only really 6 months removed from hitting balls again. So now he had a few tournaments where he's starting to build on this momentum. Is it just possible that maybe we are, I don't know, getting a little too ahead of ourselves with what we expect from Tiger Woods? I know you're anti-Vegas the last couple of days, but Vegas right now has him the favorites to win the Masters. So I feel like and he even said this in his post-game press conference. He said, guys, let's all keep in mind, like, I just really started playing again, so don't really expect too much. I'm just out here having a good time. Are we sort of putting, not that we're putting pressure on him, but we're anointing him to a place where he's not quite ready yet?
Yeah, I'm going to let everyone else temper their enthusiasm. Nick and I, we all in on Tiger Woods. Like, we don't mess around. Like,
I don't care if I'm wrong. I just want to watch this.
This is the thing.
Yes.
And in talking with his agent, I've been very, very fortunate that I've been able to walk the golf course with Tiger's team. And, man, they didn't know if he would ever play again. And now for us to see one of the guys who's been a hero to us, to see him back playing. I mean, Tiger Woods we know Jack is the greatest golfer, but Tiger is the greatest athlete to play golf. And he has brought so many other people to the game. I know how good he is. And also, I know in the 6 months that he's only been swinging the club, but his short game, his chipping and putting, that was the only thing that he could do when he did have the injury. Now, this is an injury that we have never seen. We have never seen. It's not back surgery. He's had back surgery 4 times. There's no one on the PGA Tour in the history of the Great Tour that's had a fused lower back. So what we're seeing, yes, no one had ever seen it before. Yes, typically logic is to temper your expectations. But for me, I know how great Tiger is at golf, and I know there's such an intimidating factor with Tiger being on the course. I believe, I told you, in the next 4 weeks, from last week, I thought that he would win a tournament. Tiger Woods is he makes the sport different. He makes us as broadcasters and what the content that we can put out there totally different. And I'm a huge fan of his, and I'm about a great story. And this is a guy who potentially was on pursuit to be the greatest golfer ever, who was laid up and potentially couldn't play the game again. No, I believe that my enthusiasm is matched by what Tiger and the expectations that I believe are realistic.
And for me, because CeCe's a good golfer. CeCe's been to the Masters. CeCe loves golf absent of Tiger. That is not me. I remember being with rest in peace, with my grandfather when I was 11 years old, running up to his room and saying, there's this kid. They say he's going to be amazing. It was when he won his 3rd amateur. And saying and he knew who he was because he was such a golf fan. And for me, that moment is when golf started to exist. And you know when golf stopped existing for me? That night before Thanksgiving 9 years ago. When I didn't know it at the time, but when we lost Tiger Woods for a long time, there was the 1 year since then he won Player of the Year but didn't win any majors. Like, this for me is a sport coming back into existence that's been dormant. That's been what do bears do in the winter? When they go hibernating. Thank you. Yes. That's been hibernating for the last few years. And one nerdy golf note that should be mentioned. You said before this tournament that for Tiger, if it's a par 72 with 4 par 5s, for Tiger, that needs to be a par 68. What was so impressive about the Valspar is he wasn't elite on the par 5s, yet he still finished in 2nd place. Yesterday, he finishes with 4 under. He finishes at 4 under. There are 4 par 5s. He was 4 under on those 4 par 5s, even the rest of the other 14 holes. So he took advantage of those opportunities. He was a lead around the green. He led the field in strokes gained around the green. If he can get his driver and his 3-wood to stop going sideways.
Yes, just to be average.
Just to be average accuracy off the tee with his driver or 3-wood, he is back to being the single most dangerous golfer on tour, and for me, it's exhilarating.
Well said.
Very much. All right, we'll take a break here. Coming up, Richard Sherman has some choice words for Pete Carroll, his former coach. Hear from him next on First Things First.
Y'all notice how ever since I said I'm the smartest guy on sports TV,
you can't remember any words? Yeah,
I know. Hibernate.